How's it going, guys? Welcome to another Soul Encoded video. Today I'm at my parents' house celebrating Christmas. Man, 2017 was a great year for me. I'm out for a walk, thinking about the year. Today I thought we should talk about goals and how to set goals, and also if you have any goals or anything that you want to accomplish next year. I would say that I'm pretty good at setting goals and actually accomplishing them. I was able to complete all of my goals for this year. Here's a few things that I did this year. I got my AWS certificate as a solutions architect. I finished a Udacity Nano degree for VR. I had a baby. That was a cool goal. Today I'm going to talk about a little bit about some strategies that I use to make sure that I can finish my goals, and also having realistic expectations when I'm goal setting and things like that. So next year, for me it's pretty much my main side thing that I'd be focusing on is YouTube. I feel like making these videos is definitely a way for me to give back to the community that I love so much. I truly believe that anyone who's really interested in becoming a software engineer, with enough effort and devotion and passion, they can do it. They could become a software engineer. I know plenty of people who does not have a traditional background, so it's definitely possible. You just have to want it badly enough. A few people asked me what Soul Encoded actually means. I don't know if I ever went over this, but maybe I'll go over it right now. Soul Encoded, it's just something random I thought of, and I was just talking to my wife, and I just say, what about Soul Encoded? And she's like, yeah, that sounds kind of cool. I was gonna do something like ridiculous, like bacon and carrots, or wat.com, hack something, or naming a YouTube channel is really difficult. But in the end, I just settled on something that doesn't sound super ridiculous, that sounds kind of techy, but that has a good meaning. It doesn't have to be like apparent, but it should have like a decent meaning to it. So what does Soul Encoded stand for? First off, the soul part, it's not Seoul, Korea. A lot of people have asked me if it was Seoul, Korea, because I'm Korean, but it's not Seoul, Korean. It's not the soul. It's not spelled that way either. It's like the heart and soul, right? So the idea is like when you put a lot of effort into what you're working on, you put your heart and soul into it, right? So that's the first part. Now the second part is encoded. The official definition of encoding is basically taking a raw format of something and then to encode it, to change it into code, essentially. So that's kind of the play on words. It's the combination of those two. Soul Encoded fundamentally just means put your heart, the work that you do, the heart and soul work that you do, encode it, put it into your code. Encode that into your code. So that's kind of the general meaning of it. It's a little cheesy, but I kind of liked it when I thought about it, and my wife was like, I don't know what that means, but whatever, it sounds kind of cool. So that's kind of what I ended up with. And let me know what you think. Is it too weird, too cheesy, doesn't make sense? But yeah, comment below. Man, look at these plants. It's crazy. Back home from my parents' house. I had a good Christmas dinner. Pretty tired. Gonna go to bed, and we'll continue talking about goals and goal setting for tomorrow. Good morning, guys. Today we're gonna go shopping for after day Christmas sale. It's probably the best day for sales. So I gotta get ready. So let's go and do that. Now let's get ready, get the baby, and then we're off to Valley Fair. Good morning, Elijah. Aww. Just got to the mall. I'm wearing like a harness thing. So let's talk a little bit about goal setting, right? So here's some of the strategies that I do to finish all the goals that I set out for. So number one, I try to create a situation in which I'm accountable for the things that I want to do. So whether that be making a bet with a friend,
or announcing it publicly in like multiple places. There's like a study showing that fear of not meeting other people's expectations, or fear publicly being kind of shamed for not doing something that you said you were going to do, psychologically it has a pretty big effect. So I use that trick a lot, but it's not really for everyone. Some people find it really stressful to like, you know, announce things and things like that. Tip number 2 is to make sure your goals are reasonable. Let's say that you're trying to learn something new, like programming, for example. Let's say that you're trying to get better at programming. So what's the best way for you to do that? Set some goal that is like super easy to accomplish. For example, make a simple website by the end of the first quarter, and then you could readjust your goals afterwards, right? A lot of times when you're starting something out, you don't really understand what are the limitations of like how difficult certain things are. So whatever goal that you're thinking about, like lower it by like a few levels, and then like start from there. And once you accomplish that milestone, you know, increase the level and so on and so on. So tip number 3 is a little bit related to that second tip. Whatever goal you're trying to do, make sure you do it consistently, a little bit at a time. Especially if it's learning something, don't spend like an entire week just learning as much as you can, and then you'll get burned out, right? So try to do it incrementally. There's like lots of studies on habit formation, but most habit formation happens, you know, after a consistent effort. So you can't just create that habit just by going, you know, ham for like a week and then forgetting. It's just the way or how our mind works, right? That you want to make sure to work on things incrementally. So a good challenge for people who wants to program, who wants to learn how to program, is to do like a 100-day challenge where try to solve at least one small problem on like HackerRank, or you know, whether maybe be like your own project, make like a small commit to that, and then with GitHub you could kind of log your like progress and see how, like, get that check mark, you know, that green marking that you wrote some code and push it to GitHub. So those things are like really helpful. And finally, it's okay to not finish what you're set out to do, right? Sometimes you make these assumptions about certain things that you'll have fun doing, and you know, but once you get into it, you might find it like terribly unpleasant. But you shouldn't just stick with it just for the sake of things. But one tidbit on that is that certain things you find enjoyment in doing them after a certain period of time. Even programming, for example, it took me a long time for me to start really enjoying it, because in the beginning it's very difficult. Like you know, it's like very hard to remember like certain syntaxes. You have to always constantly look things up, even for like the smallest thing. You have no direction in what to learn first. Like all these kind of things can be very frustrating, but at the same time, once you stick with it, there will be a point where it becomes really really fun just to get to code, or just to get to program something or make something, right? So you need to get to that level. I always recommend whatever skill that you're doing, get to a point where you start to get frustrated. In the beginning, for any skill, you'll learn it incredibly fast. That's just like the nature of like noobs, right? Newbies learning new things, like that's just the nature of things. There's so much to learn, there's so many easy wins for you in the beginning, but after a certain period of time, you'll hit like this wall where you just can't progress as easily as you want. And that's kind of the make or break. Like that's the point in time where you have to that's where discipline comes in, and then you have to keep going through it. And after a certain period of time of doing that, you'll hit this like new level where you're learning again like incredibly fast, and then you'll hit that wall again. So it's this constant like gradual exponential curve up, and then like peak, and then up, and then peak. That's how it's been for me for everything that I've ever like tried. And most goals that you set, like especially if it's like learning something, you'll hit that. So the way I kind of get through that step is I like kind of sit down and I do like a benefit analysis kind of thing, right? Like I ask, is this really worth my time? Am I having a lot of fun? Will it like 10x what I'm doing in the future? You know, questions like that. Is it like marketable? Like there's all these factors. The most important of all is like, am I having fun, in my opinion? But you know, there's other variables that you should think of. So anyways, those are a few tips that I could give you guys on goal setting and accomplishing your goals. So I hope you guys have like really interesting goals for next year and you're able to accomplish them. We'll check back on this in like another video in a whole year. Hopefully I'm still making videos by then. I'll try to use the same techniques that same tips that I was talking about. But yeah, I look forward to the next year. That's pretty much it for this video. There's not much like programming content really. It's just like a general concepts video. It's just something I've been thinking about lately because like I mentioned, I finished all my goals for this year, and I haven't really set new goals yet. And so that I've been thinking about it a lot. So I hope you guys think about your goals for next year in 2018, and I hope you guys had a good Christmas and you guys will have a good New Year's, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.